Welcome to a beautiful Thursday. It's The Pulse. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon, minority in parliament threatens to cite government for contempt over non-compliance of a Supreme Court directive asking the Finance Ministry to halt capping of monies earmarked for the District Assembly's Common Fund. We are broadening the conversation this afternoon on the impact this will have on the assemblies as the MPs issue a one-month ultimatum to government to settle all arrears owed to the assemblies. Also this afternoon, President Akufo-Addo fires back at critics as he insists government has completed several of the E-block projects started under the erstwhile John Mahama administration. We'll hear from him as he responds to the paramount chief of Aplao, who has issued a 4-month ultimatum for operationalization of the abandoned community day senior high school in the area. Plus, fans of dancehall artist Shatta Wale demand his release after a court remanded him in police custody following his hoax shooting incident. We have sights and sounds of what transpired in court for you today. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities, Dignilu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. Remember, we're also streaming live on YouTube and all our social media handles. Tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is @Danana Aisha. Please be my guest.
What's up, guys? My name is Sammy Forson, host of the Weekend City Show and Ignition right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Well, anytime you happen to be busy and you miss out on your favorite shows right here on Joy FM, here's what you can do. Log on to myjoyonline.com/podcast. Just go on there and you'll find all your shows on demand 24/7. There you can catch up. Remember, Joy FM remains your radio for discerning listeners.
It's been months, if not years, of complaints from the NDC opposition over government's failure or refusal to complete several E-block school buildings put up by the erstwhile Mahama-led administration to absorb the rising number of children pursuing high school education in Ghana. Parliament approved a $1.5 billion facility for the completion of critical education infrastructure, including the E-block project. But during a tour of some educational projects in the Volta region by the minority, the paramount chief of the Aplao traditional area, Togbi Ajonogaga and Menyafiti, said the construction of the Aplao Community Day School with 26 classrooms and 5 departments, including a science block, has stalled since 2016.
Minister ultimatum.
Also a bread.
And you go here.
Into Obisano, then I'll be catching out of frustration. Maybe your casa.
Many be when be aso, yeah, boy, as much as possible. I've given you these examples to let you see that, on the contrary, despite the propaganda, because one of the things that I suspect there's a deficit on our part is our ability to counter the propaganda. The propaganda takes over the reality of so many aspects of our national life.
The chief and others complaining about those facilities being abandoned got an instant response from President Akufo-Addo this morning at Accra-based radio station Peace FM. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education has been providing a breakdown of the projects completed so far. Let's get former Deputy Education Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who himself is from the Volta region, to react to the President's response to the chiefs in that area. We'll get him to respond to that shortly, but let's also have a conversation with the minority in Parliament. Dr. Clement Apak will be joining us for this conversation. Kofi Asare is with Africa Education Watch. He will also be telling us how important these E-blocks are for improvement of our education. We'll have that conversation after this break.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Atto. You can catch up with all the fun and inspiration on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM, together with all other shows over and over again. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to myjoyonline.com/podcast and relive all of those fun moments over and over again. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Welcome back to the Pulse, and let's now speak with Dr. Clement Apak, who is Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee. They've been demanding for explanation on why the e-blocks have not been completed. Dr. Apak, I'm grateful for your time. All right, we may be having challenges with Dr. Apak's connection. We'll try and get him on, but Kofi Asare is with Africa Education Watch. He's also joined us for this conversation. Kofi Asare, I'm grateful for your time this afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your cherished audience.
I'm sure you've been monitoring responses from the president on calls for him to complete e-blocks that were not were initiated by the Mahama-led government. How urgent or otherwise are the completion of these e-blocks as far as improvement of the country's education system is concerned?
I think in the short term, some strategically located e-blocks are critical in trying to reduce congestion in existing senior high schools, and if you like, and then a double track. And that is why government initially completed about 20 or so of the blocks to ease down the pressure on existing senior high schools. I think we've gotten to a point where government is implementing a strategy that favors the mixed school approach to secondary education, where government is expanding access to secondary education by expanding existing schools, boarding schools, and day schools. This is running vis-a-vis NDC's philosophy of expanding senior high schools the day school way or the community day school way. So there's the clash of these two strategies to obviously always create the situation where it will appear as if government is abandoning some projects and starting new ones. But in reality, it is actually a difference in strategy which shouldn't have occurred. But we have a difference in strategy. So government believes that it should expand secondary education through expanding existing secondary schools, most of which are boarding schools. If you want to go by that strategy, it means that given that we are implementing a 30% day, 70% boarding secondary education strategy, it means that the completion of day-only secondary schools will only mean or will only be important to the level of 30% to government agenda, because government is pursuing a course where schools being expanded are 70 boarding, 30 day. That is the situation we have on our hands. But I think that, having said that, there are some communities that, in view of the population in those communities like Aflao, it will serve a useful purpose to expand access to secondary education at a much lower cost if the community day secondary school there is completed. So that students from that community will not have to go into boarding schools in other parts of the water region or other parts of Ghana for government to pay over 2,000 Ghana cedis a year in feeding and other expenses because they are boarders. Rather, it will be cheaper because as they are day students, government will be paying less than half of that money as day students' fees under the free senior high school. So the balance between the two conflicting approaches in expanding secondary education is what we need to manage.
Apak has joined again. He's Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee. Doc, I'm grateful for your time. You are demanding for explanation on why the e-blocks have not been completed and a detailed account of the use of the $1.5 billion approved for the completion of the critical education projects across the country. Does the President's explanations address your concerns?
Well, first of all, let me say good afternoon to you and viewers and listeners. My voice is a bit sore, but I will do my best. If you want my simple answer, I don't think that the President's explanation is sufficient for various reasons. The President and his government have tended to brush aside the demands that citizens who are supposed to be beneficiaries of these projects have been making since the exit of the NDC. I believe it's as a result of the calls and complaints that we have been receiving that we decided as a minority on the education committee to embark on a tour to see for ourselves and to assess the state of some of these e-blocks. We have looked at 6, and out of the 6, 3 have been abandoned. And we are told that since the NDC left office, work came to a halt and no contractor has shown up. The other 3 are at various stages of completion. We saw one that is about 40% complete. We saw one that is about 80% complete. We've seen one that is 90% complete. And in fact, in one instance, it is even 100% complete. And yet it has not been put to good use. So we would want government to account to us the number of e-blocks completed, where they are located, and whether or not they have been put to use. And if they have not been put to use, we want to know why.
Now, so what does the minority intend to do to compel government to do, especially now that Parliament is preparing to resume? Because the president has given you a response to what you are asking him to do.
Well, I didn't hear the president's response, but if it is what I read regarding his rather insensitive response to the legitimate request made by Togbe Fiti, then it is most unfortunate. That is not the kind of response that you expect from a president, the person who holds our resources in trust, the person we expect to use our resources for our collective benefit. When the president says that they have not abandoned the e-blocks, it is clear that he's being misinformed or he does not have the data. I just told you, and I can share the videos, that we visited 6 e-blocks in the Volta region, Greater Accra, and Eastern region. Out of the 6, 3 of them have been abandoned. One is 40% complete, one is 90% complete, one is fully complete and has not been put to good use. So when the president tells us that they are working on completing these projects and they have not been abandoned, then it clearly shows that he is out of touch with the reality on the ground. And that is why in Parliament, we intend to file questions, and we even intend to file a motion to ask government to account to us regarding the quantum from the $1.5 billion for the critical educational infrastructure, which has been applied towards the completion of e-blocks and other critical educational infrastructure. So we have come to the conclusion that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia-led government is insincere. They have tended to be insensitive, dismiss, and even insult citizens for asking them to account and to do the needful. And the only cause that we can resort to is to use every legitimate tool available to us as law-abiding citizens and a responsible opposition to seek and get the needed answers and to get value for money for the use of resources expended on our behalf.
All right, Dr. Clementa Park there. All right, thankfully, Abla Gomashi is on. We've lost Okujeto Ablakwa there. Honorable Gomashi, I'm grateful for your time. I want to pick your thought or gauge your mood on how you feel, because you're also from that part where the paramount chief asked the president to complete the e-blocks. This is the response he got from the president. How do you react to his response?
Hello, Aisha.
Yes, ma'am.
You should transcribe how my name is pronounced so you can get it right. I'll find you for mispronouncing my name.
Please forgive me.
Listen, Aisha, I don't know what happened to His Excellency the President on that interview. I don't know what happened to him. I do not know what happened to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in that studio with my young brother. I am the one who took the MPs to Pagi Ajungaga, Amanyafiti. I took them to him to greet my chief. Toby has been sitting in that school over 20 years. Toby was chief when President Wallace was president. Toby was chief when President Kofoki. Toby was chief when President Mose came. Toby was chief when President Mahama came. He is chief still. Now that President Mahama don't call Father the president. That job he just gave by paramount chief of that traditional area is unacceptable, and I demand that the president goes to listen to what Toby said exactly and render an apology to my chief. Toby did not say that he was ordering President Nana to talk to Father. Toby said that the NDC started the work. The NDC came to continue. It's a 90% thing. What is left is not enough. Why is his people not benefiting from his pre-existence? This was what Toby asked. How does he, Mr. Nana, without talking Father now, give him that kind of job and tell him that if we're in a hurry, should go for people? How much of this country's resources are given to us? The person said that apart from support, the other entry point that gives us reference in this country, the highest will be Accra. How much of the money is given to public? When the budget is right and the money is set down for put aside for education, how much of it is given to public? When that time is being designed, is it given to public? I am so hurt, answer, because as a custodian of our culture and heritage, public should not be spoken to the way our president says. In the same way, I will not support or I will not be disrespectfully towards him. Then, as he said, the Jojo, one can you cry, Mr. President? One can you cry? The way you spoke to the chief is unacceptable. It's marks of intolerance. It's marks of not digesting what the man said. Can we just ask a simple question? I use Toby as reference about e-block messages. Your response should have been, perhaps, that I'll take a look at it and see what concerns the chief has to want us to address. You see, Toby said he was challenging the minister to ensure that the remaining 10% is done so that academic year, the students of such staff can benefit from that facility. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Why should the president speak to my paramount chief the way he did? How many paramount chiefs can his excellency the president speak like that? How many of them? How many of the chiefs in this country? How many chiefs in this country can his excellency the president speak like that? I am so happy. It's not to me funny. But perhaps it is not the president's place to make me happy.
As a member of parliament, you have the power to demand that the Ministry of Education and government, make sure these projects are completed, especially because monies have been approved. What do you intend to do? I know you are coming back in a week's time.
Now, one of the things that I could do was to get the Committee on Education in my purpose to come and look at it so that together we can draw the country's attention, not only to the one that is happening in Country South, but the whole country across the country, the whole educational system across the country. Who in this country that will not accept that we have a problem with accommodation for our students? Who in this country doesn't know that? This is not rocket science. And it's that effort that was being addressed by President John Dramani Mahama. So if we are continuing and we are reminding you that in some of the instances, what is left is not come and get it done so that the people of Ghana can benefit and you throw jab. Now you're asking what I'm going to do? If His Excellency the President, hearing that my paramount chief has commented on this and you throw that jab to him, what is he going to do to me? I'm just a fly. But since you asked, Aisha, this is not going to end. The caucus came here. I took them to Subject City because he's as concerned as I am. We will file a question in Parliament. We will demand that the schools that are 90%, 95%, 60%, each stage that where we left it at. It should be done. It should be done because if we use 4 years to be able to put it at different stages of completion, and we have more years than I got in as a minister. Remember, I said that the man in Mahama as Deputy Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, I had less time to do my work. He has more time to do his work. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking that this building is put to use. As it is now, it's better than a lot of the schools in Katusau already. The state in which this one is better than every single school that I've gone to in Katusau. So we can use it. And when we demand it, we say we should go, if we're in a hurry, we should go and complete it today. Now, one can you, President, one can you cry.
Your time, Jifa Goma, she is MP for K2 South. She's been reacting to President Akufo-Addo's response to the paramount chief who requested that there should be a completion of the e-blocks initiated by the Mahama-led administration. This afternoon, the minority in parliament has served notice. It will file a contempt case against government over non-compliance with the Supreme Court ruling asking the Finance Ministry to halt capping of monies earmarked for the district assemblies. The Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, in 2017 through Parliament, resolved to cap the common fund, arguing that the move will cushion government to remove the stringencies in public expenditure. But the NDC challenged the move, which was endorsed by the Supreme Court. Addressing the media earlier today, Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Local Government Committee, Benjamin Kodo, alleged that apart from breaching an apex court ruling, the Finance Ministry has also misapplied funds meant for the assemblies. The whole Central MP has given government a 1-month ultimatum to settle arrears owed the assemblies. Listen.
Indeed, the DACF is simply not working today, having been rendered impotent. The monies due to the fund have not been given to the fund to enable it to carry out its mandate as abundantly outlined by the Constitution and the relevant Act. Indeed, many people think that this Assembly's Common Fund is refusing to give money to the assemblies. But let's go into the reasons why that appears to be so. One, difficulties of the management of the DACF. One, underfunding of the District Assembly's Common Fund. This government has persistently done everything possible to deprive the District Assembly's Common Fund of the needed funds for the discharge of its constitutionally mandated duties. Amounts due to the DACF were under-provided for and owed to the fund for 2017 and 2018. The debts were partly settled in 2020 with monies borrowed during the COVID-19 intervention period. An amount of 144 million was applied for that. In June 2019, the Supreme Court, in the case of Benjamin Kodo and Richard Kwashiga versus Attorney General, ruled that as a constitutional creation, the DACF could not be capped, and that the receipts from petroleum sources should be included in the total revenues when computing funds due to the DACF. But the Ministry of Finance is refusing to properly comply with the directives of the Apex Court. Emphasis. They are refusing to properly comply with the directives of the Apex Court. The Ministry of Finance deducts certain amounts from the total revenue before computing the 5% of the balance for the DACF. These are revenues ceded to GNPC and GRA. That is the Ghana Revenue Authority. For instance, when you determine the total revenue, they will cut off some for GNPC, cut off some for Ghana Revenue Authority before they calculate 5% on the balance. These are also agencies of state, just like other MMDAs. So their budgetary allocation should be made after the constitutional 5% is provided for the DACF. We consider this practice as a ploy to reduce the amount due to the DACF, because the bigger the pot, the higher the amount due to DACF. So if they reduce the pot, then a lower amount will be due to the DACF. And we think it is unconstitutional. B, the Ministry of Finance has failed to release funds to the DACF for several quarters over the 2020 to 2021 period, fiscal years. This is a clear violation of the 1992 Constitution, Article 252. Indeed, we want to state clearly to Ghanaians, that payments have not been made by quarterly installments as stipulated in Article 252. The Ministry of Finance is very heavily indebted to the DACF. The amount has run to about 2 billion Ghana cedis. Plus, it's not LGBTQ plus. 2 billion plus. That is what amount the Ministry of Finance is owing to this Assembly's Common Fund. And it's made up as follows. In 2019, the amount owed is 700 million Ghana cedis. That is per the Auditor General's report. In 2020, we've done the calculation. The Ministry of Finance is owing the Common Fund 587 million plus. And 2021, where nothing has been paid, the estimates for first and second quarter only,
even that are based on their own figures.
Based on their own figures, the amount they are owing is 884 million Ghana cedis. When you add this, it is indeed 2,170 million, which the Ministry of Finance is owing this Assembly's Common Fund. For the whole of 2021, not even a pesewa has been paid to the DACF as we sit here. Not even one dime in Ghana is pesewas has been paid to the DACF for the whole of 2021. We have been informed that a release letter was issued for the first quarter for an amount of 434,291,958 Ghana cedis, 21 pesewas. But no money has been paid to the DACF as of today. Now, what is the result of all this? The consequence of all this is that the DACF is unable to release funds to the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies for one complete year of their operations. One complete financial year, nothing has been given to the assemblies. We are calling on the government to change its way of determining when the money is due. That is, to determine the money is due to the DACF within a maximum of 1 month after the end of each quarter, and accordingly release same to the DACF.
A local government committee. He is also MP for Sojaman. I'm grateful for your time, sir. The minority is alleging that government has misappropriated funds meant for the assemblies. That's a strong statement, you know, to make. Do you have any proof?
We have a lot of proof, and the proof is that the assemblies have not been paid the monies that is due them. That is enough proof. Beyond that, I don't think anybody will require any additional proof. The Constitution is clear that the government should collect revenue, and when the total revenue has happened, a minimum of 5% should be disbursed to the assemblies through the district assemblies common fund. And as we speak now, that quarterly installments payment that the government is required to send to the assembly has not happened. And so there is every evidence that government is flouting that simple constitutional directive.
What happens then if the government fails to settle arrears owed the assemblies after your 1 month ultimatum expires? Hello, Mr. Nyankwo.
Aisha, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm asking what next for you if government fails to... All right, so there's a terrible connection there with Thomas Nyankwo Ampem's line. Stay with me also because Mr. Thomas Ampem Nyankwo will be joining us again for this conversation, but I'll bring in the national coordinator of the Concerned Assembly Members Association of Ghana, David Atachum. David Atachum, I'm grateful for your time. You are an assembly member, though you haven't received a common fund. Don't you have internally generated revenues?
Thank you very much. As I would like to use this opportunity to extend my greetings to your cherished viewers. Though we have IGF, Internally Generated Fund, but Aisha, what the problem is, if you are not fortunate to have assembly which have enough capacity to mobilize this revenue, then it means that we are going to suffer. Because looking at me, for example, Doma Center, for example, there is nothing much. So if you want to rely on IGF, then it means about 30 electoral areas within the municipality, we are going to suffer like what is happening as we speak now. Because when these things happen, you feel like your uncompleted school building for the children, all these challenges will have to come back to you, the assembly member. So the IGF is there, but it is not enough to cater for the challenges that we've been facing within our various electoral areas.
Well, efforts to reach management of the District Common Fund is to respond to the concerns raised by the minority have been unsuccessful, but we'll keep trying. Well, let's stay a bit longer on this subject because the latest report published by the Ghana Statistical Service, which puts the spotlight on residential proximity to essential service facilities, shows that 73% of residential clusters in rural areas nationwide do not have access to a health facility. This means that if you live in rural Ghana, you're most likely to lose your life when faced with a health emergency. Gushegu district in the northern region is the most underserved district in the country, with 54.5% of residents lacking access to health facilities. We're joined by Mumuni Mohammed, Send Ghana Northern Regional Program Manager, to shed more light on how the districts can turn around their fortunes with the District Common Fund. I'm grateful for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
How important is this fund to local development?
The Decentralization Act, actually clearly states that physical decentralization is very critical as far as development of the districts are concerned. And so, what is happening in Gushegu now is a manifestation of what we are experiencing at the moment in terms of the erratic or the irregular nature of flow of the common fund. The common fund is the basic, like the main funding source to the district assembly. And to the extent that the common fund hasn't been religiously, paid to the district, that means that the district cannot implement their development interventions, which includes, infrastructure projects in the health sector. This is not just common to this government. District Assembly's common fund has been in arrears. No government has strictly been able to follow, the quarterly disbursement. But I think the current challenge we have to look at it from two folds. For me, the fact that the common fund has been cut, meaning that the quantum of money has been reduced, but matters have been made worse with the erratic nature in terms of its disbursement. So we are told that since October 2020, no assembly has received anything. If you were to check the annual action plan of Vision, and for that matter, their proposed budget, there will be specific infrastructure projects for the health sector. The fact that this hasn't happened, they cannot implement that. There are several uncompleted infrastructure projects in Bushemu. In fact, we have a project currently in the area called People for Health. My recent monitoring revealed several uncompleted health infrastructure projects. Without the common fund or funding to the district assemblies, there is no way they can be able to implement this. And what it means is that citizens will be denied access to healthcare. So we think that government has to be proactive. I mean, we have spoken about the issue of IGF, but we are not taking measures to make sure that districts can generate IGF. Even when they generate, the guidelines that is expected to make sure that it is not used for routine expenditure, and for that matter, their everyday administration, it's something that we have to pay attention to. I agree that the funding, the amount that assemblies are able to generate is not much, but even when it's generated, it's not being used well. So aside the common fund, I think that government needs to step up its efforts to empower district assemblies to generate resources internally. I mean, the common fund has proven not to be adequate. Even if it was made available, it's been cut. And so it means that we have to look at other alternatives. We have the district development facility, DDL, which used to go to the district. These days, it's not also that common. So the common fund is no longer common. So we have to look at practical measures. How can district assemblies, look at their revenue baskets and be able to take pragmatic steps to increase their revenue basket in order that they can meet, the increasing demand as far as infrastructure development is concerned at their various districts.
So Thomas is back on the line for us. Thomas, you were telling me what you do if your ultimatum expires and government fails to hit your demand. Kindly unmute for me.
Hello, Aisha.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes.
Hello, Thomas, I was asking.
Yes, from
Go ahead, Thomas.
Far back as 2017, the government of the IMF loan paid the arrears that they owed the District Assembly Common Fund for 20. They owe the District Assembly Common Fund in excess of 2 billion cedis. The Auditor General report revealed that 700 million cedis is owed the District Assembly's Common Fund for the year 2019. For the year 2020, it is approximately 600 million. This year, 2021, not a single peso has been transferred to the assemblies through the District Assembly's Common Fund. And so this is unacceptable. That's why we have served notice that we cannot continue to approve budget for the government to go and do something contrary to what has been approved. And so we are advising ourselves, before they bring the next budget for us to approve in Parliament, we expect that the fourth quarter 2020 funds must be transferred. We expect that a minimum of 2 quarters, first and second quarters 2021, must be transferred to the district assemblies through the District Assembly's Common Fund. Otherwise, we will not be comfortable sitting down and merely approving budgets that will not be respected by the government. And Aisha, it has never happened in the history of this country that Common Fund will be in arrears in excess of 1 whole year. It has never happened. We've always seen some form of arrears owed the district assemblies by the District Assembly's Common Fund. But it
All right, so that is Thomas Nyako. He's with the Local Government Committee in Parliament, and he's explaining why it is necessary for government to release the common fund for a lot of developmental projects that needs to be done in our communities. Mr. Atachum is still with us, but before I come to you, let me bring in Mumuni Mohammed. What were the recommendations you made in this research?
What we have found out in the past is the fact that if government delays in actually sending the common fund to the districts
for more than 1 calendar year, this is unacceptable. So why is
it leads to, budget overrun. So the fact that a lot of the interventions were started, the common fund has delayed for a long time, contractors are not able to go to site, it leads to budget overrun. So what we are recommending is that the government has to find a way, because you see, the resources are generated, and the percentage of that is supposed to go to the common fund administrator for onward disbursement to the district assembly. The question is, haven't we mobilized what we were supposed to mobilize as a country? So it is deliberate that the law says a percentage. So no matter how small we have mobilized, that percentage should go to the district assemblies. So we are saying that it needs to improve timely disbursement to the district assemblies. But we have also recognized the inadequacy in terms of the quantum of the common fund. And what it means is that there has to be measures to boost up revenue mobilization or generation at the district level. I mean, this particular government has over the last 3-4 budgets indicated that they are taking steps to raise revenue at the district level. I don't think that is happening. And that is the reason for the current challenges that we have. If we want to sustain development at the district level, the common fund in itself cannot necessarily implement all the interventions. Government has to step up efforts to ensure district assemblies take pragmatic steps to generate revenue, but even make sure that their idea, which is the internal generated funds, there are specific guidelines. I think that some districts are actually generating so much, especially in the south or the metropolitan areas. But the fact that we don't have specific guidelines to actually guide how they expend that, for me, is a problem. But the reality also is that if we were to do a critical analysis, we realize that some of the metropolitan and municipal assemblies do not actually need the common fund. So it is rather those rural districts that need it. If you look at what some of them are able to generate as their IPL, it is far more than their common fund. Should we then be prioritized and say that given the quantum you generate, we will find a way to increase the funding amount? This has implication on the common fund as a general, but I think that we have to take steps to make sure that, one, we increase revenue generation, otherwise the common fund will never be adequate to implement development interventions. If district assemblies can make sure that they increase and put in place systems to ensure that there are no leakages, how can the whole district assembly within a year generate less than 60,000? I was in an engagement 2 days ago, Miam District. An official of the district assemblies and an assembly member said for a whole year they couldn't generate more than 60,000 Ghana cedis. What can 60,000 be used for? There are several properties in the district. People are not paying property bills. So I think that there's a general problem with the common fund issue, but we have to look at the bigger picture about how do we get resources to the district assemblies to make sure interventions to benefit the citizens at the district level. The situation it's something that we have to take as a case. How can we make sure that resources are made available? Because Ushawu is one of the oldest districts in Northern region. And what it means is that despite the huge resources that have been poured in the area, there's still a big gap. And I think that Ushawu, it's a case that we have to take up as far as, taking steps to raise revenue for district assemblies to improve access to services as far as the health sector is concerned.
Right. David Atachum is still with us. David Atachum, what do you intend to do as an association? You heard Thomas say that this has never happened. This long delay has never happened. How do you intend to press on government to deal with this issue?
Yeah, at the confirmation, during the confirmation of the MMDC, we were told that if we want the timely release of the common fund, especially in particular this 2021 year, we have to confirm the MMDC so that they can release the common fund for various work that has been put on hold, especially classrooms and our street lights, which have gone off totally. If we want them to be fixed, then we have to confirm one so that these funds can be released to the assembly so that they can face our challenges. But as of now, like you heard the MP and the other colleague who was also speaking, as of now, nothing has been done to it. When you go to our various electoral areas, it seems everything is not working because now the people are falling, relying on us to use our own pocket money to be fixing, especially the street lights. And it is having a serious challenge on us. When you come to my electoral area, for instance, there is one 6-unit classroom block which was given to a contractor out of the common fund. Now, the contractor has not been on site since 2021. When you asked him, he said, no fund has been given to me. Now, the students are forced to go to school under a structure which has been elected by the community. And it is having a significant impact, which is very dear to the future of these young ones. So what we are saying that we are giving government by the close of the year. If it happens that nothing has been released for various challenges that we have within our electoral race to be faced, then there will be no other way than to embark on series of demonstrations to demonstrate to the Ghanaian population and especially to our constituents that this is what is happening. That is the reason why there are a lot of challenges within our electoral areas. And as the most amazing thing is that most of our people within our electoral areas think that these monies or the government even pays us money to be fixing, for example, street lights and petty challenges. So when the street light goes off and they come to complain, one of our street lights are off, and we try to explain, they take no for an answer because they know it is your duty to fix. Meanwhile, we are giving nothing. All in the name, government have delayed releasing these common funds for MMDCs to embark on projects. When you go to assembly, when you report anything to them, they will tell you, as it stands now, nothing has been released to us. Even at the time that the MMDCs have not been confirmed. When you go, they will tell you, Honorable, we can't release any fund because we've been asked not to pay a check more than 2,000 Ghana cedis. Now, we've confirmed them. The challenges that we have is even going up, and it's even higher than as it used to be. So, like I said, we are giving government by the close of the year. If nothing is done, then we will have no other alternative than to explain to our constituents that this is what is happening. So we are going on the demonstration. So there is a need for you to join us for us or to demonstrate to the government that there is a need to send down this common fund so that the development of our electoral areas can happen as when our people demand it. So,
I'm grateful for your time.
By the close of the
Right, I'm grateful for your time. David Atachum is coordinator, Concerned Assembly Members Association of Ghana. Mumuni Mohammed is with Send Ghana, and he's the programs manager for the Northern region. Earlier, we're joined by Thomas Nyaku, who is a member of the Local Government Committee of Parliament and MP for Isuojaman. We'll take a break on the pulse. Remember, you can also join via all our social media handles at JoyNews on TV. You can tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is at Banana Aisha. When we return from the break, fans of dancehall artist Shatta Wale demand his release after a court remanded him in police custody following his hoax shooting incident. We have sights and sounds of what transpired in court for you. Do stay tuned.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Welcome back to the Pulse. Now, dancehall musician Charles Niama, known in showbiz as Shatta Wale, is to spend another 1 week in police custody after he was remanded by an Accra Circuit Court. The controversial artist was in court today, pleaded not guilty to a charge of publication of false news. He was arrested 2 days ago after allegedly faking his own shooting. Now, outside the courtroom, something happened. Let's look at what happened in court. other music stars extended their social media advocacy to the court, demanding that the state drops the case against him. Now, with me in the studio is Mapito Sibede. She's with Joy Entertainment. She was in court for us. Mapito, give us a roundup of what really transpired in court.
All right, so let's start with Shatta Wale's demeanor. When he came out of the bus before the proceedings, he was very excited. He was chanting with his fans, draped in all white. You know, you could see that, you know, he was certain what was going to happen or what the outcome was. He was very excited. And when he came out of the courtroom, our own Shatta Wale was a little bit confused. And I heard him ask one of the police officers, like, oh, where am I going? You know, he was like two-stepping, really? As if like he was very saddened by the outcome. And so when he left, he was still chanting, but not as energetic as he was when he first arrived at the courtroom.
Wow. And after this, definitely there's been a lot of messages on Facebook. All
right, so let's talk about the notable personalities that were there. I saw a Bulldog, which is his manager. I also saw musician Medical. I saw musician Jupiter, and also musician Captain. And now on Twitter is hashtag free Shatta Wale. That's what people are like, you know, campaigning for, that Shatta Wale must be released. I mean, why would you let our, like they say, our king of Shatta movement be or stay in police custody for another week?
And all these people you talk about, did they get the opportunity to send this message across to the powers that be?
Unfortunately not. The only thing that they did was they're still trending at #1, hashtag free Shatta Wale, and they've been trending since like 9 o'clock in the morning. And with 13,000 tweets, that's what people are saying, hashtag free Shatta Wale. Caucus was also one of the people who tweeted, and he said, I hope that it doesn't happen, like it's not the same as my case. I hope that they free him as soon as possible. But let me go to Twitter and see what people are saying. This one is from Ed Harris, who says, you want the system to work. The system is dealing with him according to the law, and you're doing hashtag free Shatta Wale. Ghana. And this one is from Fela Makafui, and this was on the 20th of October. And the 20th of October is when Shatta Wale handed himself over to the police, and he said, King forever, hashtag free Shatta Wale, hashtag free Shatta Wale. Now we also have at Shatta Fighters, so it be the prison where he day, where it be you. Relax, some fake pastors be go. Come give you and your family fake prophecies. Talking about fake prophecies, Shatta Wale is also on a campaign that I'm only doing this so that we can put an end or a stop to fake prophecies. I'm handing myself over so that we can stop the fake prophecies. If you have a prophecy about me, rather you come to me, tell me that, Charlie, this is what I have seen.
But don't announce it to the public.
Don't announce it to the public, because I don't know. You said I was going to be shot on the 18th of October. I don't know if you want or you are part of the people that might shoot me. You understand? But let's go back to Twitter. Mr. Dennis says it's very unfair that Shatta Wale has been remanded. No one is supporting what he did, but all the same, he doesn't deserve to be remanded. It is very, very unfair. At Rhymes continues with the hashtag free Shatta Wale. Bash Kelly says even in his darkest moment, he smiles, hashtag free Shatta Wale. As you can see in this picture, this is how he arrived. He was, you know, excited in his white hoodie, in his white jeans. So clearly, this is a man who thought
there was going to be victory.
There was going to be victory. Yeah, you know, we are strong. Shatta movement, hashtag free Shatta Wale. Zamboli _BA is saying that some of his Shatta movement fans have composed some songs. Hashtag free Shatta Wale. If you can go to Twitter, you can check that out. And Virgo Booster says, how can I sleep when Shatta Wale is in prison?
Hell no. Hashtag so what's next for the dance hall musician?
What's next for the dance hall musician is that we will meet him again in court on the 28th of October. Right now, he's still in custody, and there's really nothing we can say about his next movements.
But of course, he was scheduled to launch a new album on Saturday. Do we know how that is shaping up, or that has also come to a halt?
That has also come to a halt, unfortunately. So until the 28th of October, then we'll know what the musician will do, because we're expecting a live, an Instagram or Facebook live from the musician after that, but we don't know what the court will decide on the 28th of October. So until then, that is all we can say for now.
Yeah. Definitely, let's take more of the sights and sounds, because a number of people thronged in the court today who are supporting the Shatta movement. Listen to one of them.
Joseph Akron, aka Spunky Sparrow.
Okay, so Spunky Sparrow, I mean, what do you make of this, all this happening?
To me, what I would say is they should free Wale, because what the pastor did was in the right way. If you see a prophecy about someone, kindly go to the person or find ways and means to tell the person that this and this is what I've seen in you, but not to come on air to announce it. Also, Wale is also, I mean, he's scared, he's panicking, because you can't just say that, because Sunday was his birthday, that was on the 17th and 18th. Just look at what is happening. To me, it's not good.
Thank you very much. But as someone who's a role model,
yeah,
don't you think also Shatta Wale acted in an unprofessional
Yeah, he did. For that, I will appeal to the laws of Ghana to do something about it. We are pleading to the courts or the judges to do something about it, whether to fine him for next time he wouldn't do that act again. But I understand it was out of fear that he also did that, just to save himself. But what he did was in the right way though. But we are pleading as an SM fan, as a lover, we are pleading justice to free Wale.
So that was an SM fan pleading that Wale be freed. Mapito Sipi is a woman who monitored this for us. Thank you so much for bringing us updates, and we're still live on the Pulse. Araba Kumsen will be among 4 journalists from the multimedia group to be honored at the 2021 West Africa Media Excellence Awards in Accra. Said Kwam Boateng, Emmanuel Kwesi Deborah, and investigative journalist Kwete Nate were among few candidates selected by the expert panel to have produced excellent work under the year of review. Media experts, high-level personalities, delegates from sub-regional bodies and civil society groups are expected to grace the occasion. We have some of them joining us this afternoon for a build-up to tomorrow's event. First, watch a bit of the work Araba produced at the peak of COVID-19 pandemic. Araba Kumsin will be joining me in the studio after this.
63 days, that's how long it's taken 17,704 people across the African continent to get infected with coronavirus.
The lives of thousands have been snuffed out as the ripples of an unprecedented pandemic, the COVID-19, the scale of which has never been witnessed before, reverberated across the globe, bringing robust economies to their knees and putting almost every sector, including the media, in distress. Now more than ever, the need for information has become pronounced. But how will Ghana's news media navigate these uncharted waters to live up to their mandate as they reel under the impact of this pandemic? The harsh impact of the coronavirus pandemic has been felt across board, and nowhere is it more felt than in the newspaper industry, which has already been struggling. With the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, their woes have worsened. I'm here today to speak to Managing Editor of the Daily Dispatch, Ben Efson, on how the pandemic has affected their business and how they are adopting innovative ways to stay alive.
The Dispatch has been around for about 22 years. And COVID was the first time that for 1 month the paper was off the stands because the vendors were just not, people were not going to work because the vendors sell by the roadside. So for 1 month there was no newspaper on the stand. So
Because of the lockdown?
There was a lockdown.
Executive editor of the Daily Guide newspaper, Fortune Alimi, has lived this experience too. As a manager of one of the country's popular newspapers, he has had to take some tough decisions after patronage of their paper dropped significantly following the announcement of the lockdown.
We took the decision not to come out at all. But after coming out, we need to also take a lot of measures in order to stay afloat. As I said, we need to cut costs. We need to cut down even on production. We need to cut down on the hours of production so that we save production costs, electricity, transportation, fueling. We need to cut down on a lot of these things.
Let's talk about the impact it's had on the business. You mentioned that people were not patronizing the newspapers, especially during the lockdown. Why is that?
Why is that? Because people were not out. Two, the vendors were not even there. Even if they were there, they were not ready to also sacrifice their lives because they are also dealing with the public, the handling of money. You realize that one of the means of transmission of this disease is handling of money. You see hearing traders also contracting the disease. Where did they get it from? Through money.
Now, presidents of the Ghana Journalists Association rolling.
Well, you can get the full documentary on YouTube, the documentary that won Araba Kumsing this award.
Aisha, just for the record, I haven't won it yet. I've just been nominated. I'm a finalist, so don't jinx it. Of course.
So yes, ahead of that, let me even congratulate you.
Thank you very much
for this milestone. I mean, we're so proud of you. Of course, Emmanuel Kwesi Deborah would also be joining us via Zoom. Mr. El Tov. And also from the other side is Kweku Krobia Asante. He's programs officer at the Media Foundation for West Africa. Let me start from the studio. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Krobia Asante.
It's a pleasure, Aisha.
Right. So let me start from the studio, and congratulations is in order, right? How do you feel about this whole thing? I know we'll pick the award. That's for tomorrow. We are coming. Look out for us.
Don't jinx it. So how do I feel about the award? I mean, when I was informed, I was surprised, pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting it.
Okay.
You know, but I was happy that, you know, our work had been recognized because this was an important initiative that we embarked on.
Yep.
And this was the brainchild of Elvis Kwashi, our then managing news editor, who is now a general manager. So he thought that at the time, I mean, COVID was affecting a lot of people in a lot of ways. People could see other people and the way it was affecting them, and people didn't realize how it also affected the way we were doing our work. And he thought it would be interesting for us to explore that. So that's why we decided to do it.
And then, of course, definitely when the COVID was at its peak, journalists did not have that luxury of staying at home or working from home and all of that, because we had to go out and bring it to your doorstep for you to know what exactly was happening across the world. What really went into this piece that has brought you where we are now?
So, I mean, at the height of the COVID, like you said, I mean, we were at the forefront, like the nurses and the doctors, because we're going out there to gather information and give it to the people, because people were mostly, if you like, locked up at home because of, you know, the pandemic and the lockdown that came with it. People were dependent on the media for information about everything. And so we had to actually provide that media. So we had to go the extra mile. And in doing that, we also put our lives on the line because, I mean, we could easily be infected as well. So we needed to adopt innovative and creative ways of gathering, assembling the data and all of that.
And that turned out well for us. Let me bring in Kwesi Deborah. Kwesi Deborah, your voice alone, I mean, keep people awake. Tell me about the piece that won you this, that will win you the award tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. All right, Sha. The piece is an online piece, and it's titled "Accident Scenes in Ghana." When camera shots are lethal, or when camera shots become lethal. So with this piece, what I try to explore is that there was this incident in November 2020 involving a tricycle and a truck. And in this incident, a woman that's a pregnant woman, her son, and also a driver of the tricycle lost their lives. And in this, when this happened, you know, when in the course of the accident and when the tricycle that developed sparks and stuff like that, there was only one driver who took his, you know, fire extinguisher to douse the flame, and the rest were standing. They were looking. You know, there were lots of bystanders And they could even go to, it happened near a filling station, and they could even go near they could even go to the place and, of course, take a fire extinguisher and douse the flame. But there's a case where they all looked at it, the burning of the pregnant woman, her son, and the driver.
Wow.
And most of them took their phones to record instead of going to help.
Wow.
So so then after the incident, when they died, I went back to the scene to interview the bystanders why they decided to take their phones to record instead of, as it were, go for these fire extinguishers to douse the flame. And so then I started collecting the primary data, those who witnessed the incident and took their phones. So first of all, I wanted to find out, so about 4 people I spoke with, and they brought out so many things. One had to do with what I call the evidence, where they thought that they need to have evidence of the situation. So whether you are suffering, they don't care. What they think is that they need to have evidence of the situation. And again, I explored other themes of self-identity and social media. And, people would want to be the first to record the incident and show to others. And some also do think that since others are not around, they need to witness, they need to see the incident. And so they want to record instead of going to help. And so from there, I went to the sociology department of KNUST, to speak with the sociology, why people are into that. And that's why he brought out the issue of self-identity and social media, why people would want to, keep themselves busy on social media in order to have this identity. It's more of a drag, kind of, a new drag, kind of. And so from there also, I went to, I explored issues of monetization, because I noticed, I monitored that when the incident happened, you had many, social, YouTube channels and, Facebook channels also, broadcasting the issue. And I saw the numbers and why they did that, why, also wanted to find out. And, it brought out the issue of monetization, because people want to make money from social media. Yeah, for instance, YouTube, then the more the number of views you get, the more the views, the more money you get.
Okay.
And so, yes, so that's what I tried. And so issues of monetization, self-identity, yes, with regards to, why bystanders will look on, of course, when a person is in trouble, when they would take their phones to record.
Wow.
So that's a phone. So that's a story.
Let me congratulate you in advance for a good job done. But let me bring in Mr. Corbia. What should we expect tomorrow?
Well, thank you, Aisha. Tomorrow it's going to be an exciting event. We are having the conference and the awards. We're holding the conference in the morning from 9 to 2. Then we'll start the awards around 4:30 through to 7. And so we are hosting some great journalists, some of whom I am with on the set, and some others joining us from the West Africa region, from Nigeria, from Benin, Burkina Faso, and the other places going to join us. Also, we have some media experts, freedom of expression advocates, human rights advocates, editors coming to join us on the conference to discuss the phenomenon of misinformation, digital media regulation, and its impact on journalism in Africa, which is the theme for the conference. And then in the evening, we will host Araba, Kusida Brother, Seth, and the other finalists who made it this year to see who wins the award.
Well, I'll be there with them, so you need to mention my name as well. I wanted to ask El Tov whether we'll get a bit of his soothing music. El Tov, do we get that at the event?
Unfortunately, Mr. Probia never invited me to perform.
Oh, maybe they have to pay before the performance. But let me say congratulations to all of you. We'll be there in our numbers to support all of you. Araba Kumsin, we're so proud of all of you. and thank you for making us proud.
This award is for all of us because
definitely,
I mean, everybody pitched in to help, so it's not just for me. I did the report, but really everybody pitched in, so it's for all of us.
Definitely. So you see us tomorrow and we'll bring you the sights and sounds. It's now time for a conversation with our partners, DW, and Thomas Sparrow will be joining us for a chat on the COVID-19 incident rate in Germany. Thomas, why is the incidence rate so big among children and teenagers?
It has to do with the situation in German schools. There was recently a report by Germany's health authority, the Robert Koch Institute, which revealed that in the previous 4 weeks, there had been over 600 outbreaks in German schools. So that is certainly a matter of concern for health authorities here in the country. And it also has to do with the fact that the vaccination rate among teenagers, 12 to 17-year-olds, is comparatively low. It was only a few months ago that Germany's health authority issued a recommendation for teenagers to get a coronavirus vaccination, but as of now, only about 38% of those eligible have taken up that vaccination offer. So these two arguments explain to a large extent why authorities are so concerned about kids, about teenagers, and more generally about the situation in German schools when it comes to the coronavirus pandemic.
So, Thomas, what's being done to tackle this?
Obviously, the focus is on how to better protect children in schools when they're in close contact with their peers and with teachers. There have been many plans in recent months to better protect schools, to better equip schools, and to also make sure that children wear their masks, that there's proper ventilation, that there are proper measures in place, including testing for children and for teachers as well. But it's important to stress that this is, in particular here in Germany, a matter that is up to the federal states to decide. So it's not something that can be decided on here in Berlin by the federal government. Each federal state can apply, can decide separately on what measures it wants to implement for their respective schools. So there are different measures put in place. Obviously, one of the issues that everyone in Germany here is interested from a political perspective is in trying to get people to accept vaccination offers. This applies for 12 to 17-year-olds, but it also applies to adults, and that is something that German officials are particularly interested in.
And that was Thomas Sparrow. He's with our partner ZW from Berlin. Let's take a break on the pulse, and after this break, we'll bring you the very latest from the world of sports.
Hello, my name is Evans Mensah, and you can relive all the fun and excitement on Top Story, Newsnight, and of course, Ghana Connect via podcast. All you need to do is to log on to my Joy Online/podcast. Search for your favorite show and relive the moment. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Hello there, Hans Menzando here with Sports on the Pulse. President of the Confederation of African Football, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, has thrown his support for calls for the FIFA World Cup to be played every 2 years. The proposal for biennial World Cup has been a topic for discussion in the last few years after some of FIFA's top officials, including Gianni Infantino, concurred to the suggestion, as he feels such initiative will bring the youth back to the sport. The CAF president made a disclosure during a media encounter at the Ghana Football Association's headquarters today. Joy Sports' Gary L. Smith was there and brings you a summary of the key points.
He came from Los Angeles. This morning they had a breakfast meeting at the Kempinski Hotel, after which they came here straight ahead. He was here to address many questions from the media. I mean, there were wide-ranging issues. I must say that he was very receptive of every single question, ranging from football politics to corruption to the World Cup being held every 2 years to the Super League to women's football and so on and so forth. So, Muftar, with your permission, I'll take the things one after the other, if I may, if we have time.
Please do.
Okay, all right. So first of all, what concerns Ghanaians has to do with television rights. I mean, one of our colleagues, Felix Romark, asked about the fact that we are Africans, but we are always able to watch every single South American competition, European competition, and world competition, but our own domestic competitions such as the CAF Champions League, CAF Confederations Cup, and AFCON qualifiers and so on are very inaccessible to us. Indeed, as you may know, yesterday the Black Queens played against the Super Falcons of Nigeria, and it was not available on any stream, not to talk of any television station in Ghana and Nigeria. And the CAF president said what he has mentioned for the last couple of months since he's been in office, that look, he would love for all Africans to be able to see our games, but currently there are legal issues with the domestic rights. He came to inherit, a lot of legal wranglings from previous CAF administrations and rights governing bodies who have taken CAF to court, and they are having to settle all those in court. So beyond settling all those cases in court, we can't at the moment have our football on our screens as and when we may like we do for European football and so on and so forth. That's a bit disheartening, but that's the position of the CAF president at the moment. The big issue also has to do with the World Cup. As you may know, Gianni Infantino is heavily on the side of the World Cup being taken to every 2 years instead of every 4 years. Indeed, yesterday there was another meeting where the European football associations, that's UEFA, basically threatened the FIFA president that if he continues on this tangent, they are going to leave FIFA, which led to the FIFA boss reneging a bit and being a bit less vocal about his support for the idea, but he still says it's in the works and they are going to be talking about it. So the question was, what is the position of the Confederation of African Football and its president, who was here with us today? Not less than 3 journalists asked him variants of that question, and he was categorical that he, as president of CAF, is for the World Cup to be held every 2 years. He said that as far as he is concerned, that is what Africa needs. He also mentioned that, look, Europe have a lot of money, South America may have some money, the United States may have some money, but Africa's financial position means that we need more international tournaments so that African countries can get more money. For example, anytime Ghana qualifies for the World Cup, we get north of $6 million. And he believes that these are monies that can help African confederations and member associations. And so that's why our focus should be on supporting the idea. So I asked him that, Mr. President, if indeed you want the World Cup to be every 2 years, we already have the African Cup of Nations being held every 2 years. We have the CHAN also being held every other year. So what would be the ideal time for us to hold the World Cup, considering that we have the Africa Cup of Nations and then the CHAN? He said that this biennial World Cup idea is being mooted by former Arsenal boss, who is now a FIFA technical director, Arsene Wenger. And Arsene Wenger is leading a lot of research, a lot of stakeholder engagement into it. And at the right time, a definite calendar will be put out that will benefit all confederations. And so at the moment, what we can tell you from this press conference is that even though the CAF president is for the World Cup to be held every 2 years, he doesn't have a plan for it as well. Also, let me just finish by mentioning that the Super League, which was a big topic of discussion only a few months ago, was mentioned by a couple of my colleagues here as well. And we wanted to know what his position on the Super League is. That is to say, he has never said what the concrete plans for the Super League is, short of saying that Africa should have its own Super League. So he said also in the same way that PricewaterhouseCoopers and other agencies are currently looking into the best way to get stakeholders to get the Super League up and running, but at the moment it was also clear that he does not have a plan, a concrete plan on how much the teams will pay, if they will pay at all, how much they will earn, and what will go into the Super League, except to say that it is a great way for African clubs to make money and for money to be distributed to all clubs across the African continent. So Muftau, that's basically some of the talking points from today's press conference. He also touched on women's football and also on corruption on the African continent as well.
Gary, just before I let you go, just a quick one. I want to have a clear idea about what the finances of CAF is at the moment, because you would recall that during the draw for the African Cup of Nations, he clearly indicated teams that will make it to the final, they are going to pay appearance fees for these players. And prior to that, he had a meeting with executive committee members of CAF and told them that CAF was in trouble. You did started the example of where he said that, because of the auditing of their accounts, companies or corporate institutions in the world or in Africa are reluctant to partner CAF. So if they are reluctant to partner CAF, CAF is in trouble. What is the state of CAF at the moment? Was that question asked, and was he able to provide an answer? And the appearance fee for players, is it with immediate effect?
Luckily for us, that question was asked by our own Mubarak Haruna about what you said he mentioned in Rwanda some time back. Yeah. So his answer, Muftau, I'm disappointed to let you know, his answer was again very, very political. He said that there's more stakeholder engagements being made, and after the stakeholder engagement is done, they are going to let us know what the finances are, what the state of CAF is, and they'll let us know how much they will pay the players for appearing at the Africa Cup of Nations.
Thanks very much, Gary. We appreciate it.
On sports today. In the meantime, of course, you can read more sports at myjoyonline.com/sports. I am Hans Mensando. Many thanks for your time.
Hello, I'm Dori Nando. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to My Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
And that's how we wrap up this beautiful afternoon on The Pulse. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Up next is Let's Talk Showbiz. Do stay tuned in.
You're welcome to Let's Talk Showbiz right here on the JoyNews channel. My name is Doreen Avio, and since morning it's all been Shatta Wale, and we're definitely going to talk about Shatta Wale, what's happening to him and what's next for him. I'll give you updates on that. Plus, Kwame Eugene was also on Drive Time on Joy FM, and well, something Shatta Wale said after he was remanded whilst he was getting into his car. I'm sure you would like to hear more about that. My name is Doreen Avio, and the show is Let's Talk Showbiz. This is Let's Talk Showbiz. If you're just joining me, and I'm Doreen Avio. Of course, I'm here to bring you the latest in your world of showbiz. So for the last 2 days, it's all been Shatta Wale funny face, Shatta Wale funny face. But it looks like yesterday we already knew the fate of funny face, as he's been referred to the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. And hopefully on the 10th of November, we're looking to hear what will happen to him. But today, it's all been Shatta Wale. So he was at the Accra Circuit Court, and well, after everything all said and done, he has been remanded for a week. It was not just him, he and 3 others. I can tell you Nana Dope and 2 other people, I think Deportee and someone else. They have different names though, but that's how we know them in showbiz circles. So they have all been remanded for a week. It's come with a lot of mixed reactions, but of course, my colleague Mapito was there. She happened to speak to a fan. We'll hear what the fan had to say, and after, we'll bring you highlights of everything that was happening over there at the grounds of the circuit court. And then after, I will share with you what Shatta Wale said when he was getting into the car. Well, let's hear from the fan and everything that was happening there.
Shatta Wale has been charged with publication of false news, and he pleaded not guilty. The 3 others had pleaded not guilty, and they were charged with abatement of crime. He's been remanded for another week, and also the next court sitting will be on the 28th of October. Right, so I tried to speak to the lawyer. He refused to speak. He cannot speak until he speaks to his client, Shatta Wale. So he didn't want to give us any information. He said unless we'll find the next information on the 28th of October, which is the next sitting. In regards to the fans were very excited to see Shatta Wale, and they were chanting "Free Shatta Wale." Even if you go to Twitter right now, hashtag Free Shatta Wale is trending at #1. His fans, his supporters, observers, family, and friends are calling for his release.
My name is Joseph Akron, aka Spunky Sparrow.
Okay, so Spunky Sparrow, I mean, what do you make of this, all this happening?
To me, what I would say is they should free Wale, because what the pastor did was in the right way. If you see a prophecy about someone, kindly go to the person or find ways and means to tell the person that this and this is what I've seen in you, but not to come on air to announce it. Also, Wale is also, I mean, he's scared, he's panicking, because you can't just say that, because Sunday was his birthday, that was on the 17th and 18th. Just look at what is happening. To me, it's not good. Yeah, he did. For that, I will appeal to the laws of Ghana to do something about it. We are pleading to the courts or the judges to do something about it, whether to fine him for next time he wouldn't do that act again. But I understand it was out of fear that he also did that, just to save himself. But what he did was in the right way though. But we are pleading as an SM fan, as a lover, we are pleading justice to free Wale.
Right, so those were highlights of everything that was happening at the courthouse, and of course, Shatta Wale, a fan who also spoke to my colleague Mapito. But after that, you know, there were lots of celebrities there, but most of them, I mean, should I say, they all refused to speak on the issue, even though when you go on social media, you see a lot of hashtags like Free Shatta Wale, Freedom for Shatta. I mean, quite a number of them, but they all refused to speak. So on his way into the car, there's one particular video that is really trending where Shatta Wale was seen to have said that he wants to go to prison for life. I don't know why he said that, but I think when you actually see his reaction and what he said, based on that, you can judge. So let's take a look at that video.
A song that actually cemented me being a limelight artist.
Oh, you think so?
I mean, after Angela, people were saying, oh, I mean, you see these boys with one hit wonder, right. He won't come again. Right. And boom, confusion. That was when people were causing confusion. She was like, it was in line with everything that was going on. And I remember performing in Sierra Leone over 45,000 people, and this was a song they went crazy for. When they had confusion, everybody was singing, they're causing confusion. And it was a pretty sight. Angela was like a gift to a person called Angela. That's Richie Mensah's big sister. She'll be mad at me for me saying this, but yeah, that's Richie Mensah's big sister, and it was like a gift to her. Yeah, so I remember it was her birthday, and that time Link signed me fresh. I don't get anything. So everybody was giving her gifts, and I was like, child, I don't have anything, Angie, but I wrote a song for you, and I'm sure that song will be very big. The whole world will sing your name. Before she was in the UK, she came back to Ghana, and Angela was everywhere.
Magic bullet. Like it or yes, Shatta Wale knows how to. This is PM Express, and what are we doing? We're spending an hour discussing Charles Nee Mensah. If that is not genius, what is? This is major. This is the show that discusses the biggest political issues in the country. If the president caught a cold, this is the show that would discuss it. And of all the artists in the world, this show is spending time discussing Shatta Wale. It is not nonsense, it is genius. You see, celebrities, showbiz personalities globally have used stunts. Some have worked, some haven't quite worked. I remember, Andy, when did Timberlake release Crimea River? Was it, I think, 2003, 2002?
And George, just to buttress your point you made earlier, this is BBC about Shatta Wale 10 hours ago. And I want to quote what he said at the beginning. He says, one of Ghana's most popular singers, Shatta Wale, has been arrested hours after he said he was on the run over fears of his life. And then he had posted on Facebook that his life is in danger. They don't only do that, they go and then they tell you a history of the man. And then they have Africa, they put it on an Africa Live page. And then it says updates on this. So this is BBC, and this is not just that's what my producers are showing on television. Hardly would they do that on the BBC main site. This was not on the BBC. It's the BBC main site.
Yes, and this is not Burna Boy. This is not Davido or Wizkid. This is our own Shatta Wale. This is not anybody else, and we think it is. Look, it is genius. We may look at it negatively because naturally there are negative effects. Like it or yes, it may be deception of a sort and all that, but it's showbiz. I was talking about Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake at the time had I think people called them
that was about
Hollywood's
2002,
2003 thereabouts. They called them the finest couple. I think it was Justin and Britney Spears, was it?
Yeah.
And they had a relationship, and they had just had a fallout. Then the gentleman released Crimea River. And when you look at the video of Crimea River, he used a lady that looked just like Britney. And the story, the lyrics in the song all pointed to the direction of infidelity, stirring up some controversy that made people start to ask, why? Did she cheat on him? How did they do it? What happened? And all that. And guess what? The song went ahead to win him a Grammy. So what are we talking about? In showbiz, if they are not talking about you, that is when you're doing something wrong.
Right, so whatever it is, however it goes, we all know that these amazing personalities are celebrities. Everybody who has been a part of good or bad, whichever way, is towards the fixing of the industry. And as and when we get updates, when Shatta Wale is remanded, whether in there, out there, we'll definitely bring you updates here on Let's Talk Showbiz. A very big thank you to you, Christopher, and of course, Nicholas on production. And thank you to you, Mapito, for being in court today to bring us all the latest when it comes to Shatta Wale. My name is Doreen Avio on Facebook, and on Twitter, it is Doreen Avio, and on Instagram, it's Doreen_Avio. Remember to go on myjoyonline.com, the entertainment page, for more of our stories, and also the Joy Entertainment Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages. Go on there when there are live things going on. You definitely get all the updates there. Well, in all, have a great evening.